In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victorious. So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut up, bring it to me. Defend your movie.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host, Sean Donnelly. This week, we are sans Farah once again, unfortunately. She's going to a concert or something. I'm going to just tell the real reason. She's been very selfish, and she went to a concert. So I have my very good and funny friend, Brendan Sagalow, joining me for this
Thank
episode.
you. How are you guys?
We just did my serious radio show, and then I just said, this is how...
I've been hearing your voice through my fucking headphones all day.
Did you enjoy it, or is it terrible?
No, it's all right.
It's all right. This week we have a very special guest. He's my good buddy. You know him from Tuesdays with Stories. You know him from his half-hour special on Netflix. Joe List, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it always feels like there's going to be an applause.
Yeah.
I know. I do it on purpose, and we have like fake applause sometimes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Thank you for doing this, man. We really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me. I've been wanting to do it, but I couldn't figure out what movie to do.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, because also your wife, who's an amazing comic, told me that you basically only watch movies that you like, right?
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
like
that's how you
critically
should live your life.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's true, though, because sometimes you walk into a movie, you don't know how you're going to feel, but like you're saying you only watch like critically acclaimed movies.
Not only, but like I don't like action movies really.
See, you don't like action movies at all?
I mean, some like critically acclaimed, like good ones.
What
like,
about the Marvel movies? We watch
this
those?
is-
I'm not a
Superhero movies are getting
Marvel. I don't
old.
like a comic book. Like I like Christopher Nolan's Batman movies.
Oh, I guess those are like the most critically acclaimed action movies.
Well, it's not just critically
They're, like,
acclaimed.
well-made.
It's not critically acclaimed. Like they're critically acclaimed because they're made well by an artistic filmmaker.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's like movies. It's not just like Pulp Fiction is critically acclaimed for a reason. It's well done.
Well,
you
let
know
me
what
ask
I
you
mean?
this though, because you don't like. I'm just going to turn my brain off and watch this bad movie on purpose.
Sometimes like some of I have like childhood memory. Like Cocktail is obviously not like a masterpiece or anything,
Right.
but like I've watched it 75 times. I love watching it.
But that was the first episode we did was Cocktail.
Oh, really?
And we had Dan Soder was the one who defended us.
Oh, wow.
And then we ended up not being able to recall enough information, so I went to his house and we watched it and then taped that.
Oh wow, I
But-
remember it. I know it well. In
No.
fact, we might have talked about this before. Can I talk about this?
Yeah, you can because go
Have we
ahead.
talked about this? It has one of the most inexplicable scenes in the history of American cinema.
Oh, we didn't talk. What is this?
In the opening sequence, he leaves the military. He's with the military guys. They flag down a bus, and then go watch this. He's on the bus, and then he's holding a child like a baby, and he says, "You see that city, Mikey? We're gonna run that city one day." And there's a woman next to him. He's holding the baby. He says it. The baby and the woman never appear again. They never explain who the child was. It's just an inexplicable child in the scene who he's gonna run the city with.
Well, here's the thing. It's explainable. It's Tom Cruise. You just hand Tom Cruise your baby.
I guess. But like there had to have been a huge scene cut. Or like a subplot or something.
Yeah. Or it's supposed to show him like how friendly of a guy he is, or like the mom just trusted him, or showing like, hey, I've been on this bus so long, I've become friends with this baby.
I guess, but like he's definitely supposed to be like a driven guy who's like, I'm going to run the
Right,
town.
and that's the whole point of the movie, because he does this. But also, there's a controversy that came up when we did the episode, which was like over a year ago. There's a comic, Charles
Gould.
Charles Gould, whose dad he wrote it.
But I believe,
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, his dad wrote the book that the movie's based on, and it was actually about, what do you call them, gentrification and stuff.
Is that true?
That's
No, his dad wrote the script.
Oh, you wrote the script also?
I think he wrote the script also, yeah.
But
I'm
maybe
pretty
they
sure.
edited. I thought it was like a deeper movie about gentrification and stuff, because the script is flawed, I would say.
I would say
The
so
least.
too, and he was like, Charles wrote me a message where he's like, well, just so you know, that movie put me through college, so whatever. And I'm like, are you mad at me? And
Oh, jeez. Well, now I feel terrible. I'm
No,
gonna
don't feel bad. Who cares?
That's a kind of
Because
a
we
weird
didn't
thing to do, though.
But what I'm saying is this: we enjoyed the movie. That's what I mean about this podcast. Like, it's these movies that are guilty pleasure movies that you enjoy. So yours would have been Cocktail or like.
I love Cocktail. Yeah.
We've talked about Con Air. Like, you must watch Con Air.
Con
right?
Air, I don't like. That's not a movie I'm into.
So
like,
if it's on TV, Con Air's on TV, you'll turn off Con Air.
yeah, I wouldn't watch that movie for a
Really?
second. Yeah, I'm not into
Wow.
that. Oh, like Welcome to the Rock. Like those movies, I don't
You're not
care
into like
about.
those just straight up like Fast and the Furious. Not a fan.
No, that's horrific to me. That's
The first one
destroying
was
our
okay,
society.
but having that as a series, it's ridiculous.
We have a whole thing on this podcast about Fast and the Furious. It's such a remarkable thing, those movies. I'll tell you why. They're amazing in their own right. The fact that they're able to pull off what they're able to pull off action-wise in those movies is as good as a Dark Knight or something like that. Do you realize how much to the point where they had so much action in those movies, they got to the point where they chased down a submarine that comes out of a glacier, and they stop a submarine from destroying.
See, I don't get how it goes, because I only saw the first one, which is like
Well, the first one was
this
way
guy
different.
going undercover for this group
it
that are
was very
stealing cars, and now they're like flying
international
cars
like
through
assassins.
airplanes.
Yeah, the first one was very localized, and it was very like they were just doing this one story, and then they just became, because of getting hooked up with like federal agents, they became like not kind of like mercenaries. Like, they just started working for the government to get themselves out of legal situations. It makes no sense.
It's crazy.
But my other question about Fast and the Furious is the guys who make it, and this is still up for debate, are they in on it, how crazy and corny it is? And I think they are for certain elements, but not for others. Like, because they have a lot of things in the script of Fast and the Furious movies where, like, we're family, and family never turns.
Yeah,
family
stuff like
turns
that.
themselves in. Family's about family, and they talk about family all the time. And how
It's
they,
just funny to picture a bunch of guys in a room sitting at a table like this being like, and then the car will fly through the helicopter.
Yeah.
And they all write it down.
It's got to be silly. They must be aware at that point that it's silly.
They've got to be, but it's still. My thing is this: it's silly, but it's super impressive how
Right.
they pull it off. It's like, I wouldn't be able to. There's ways to do that, I think, and there's other ways you can do that where it would look horrible.
Right.
So they just you want to call it the stunts team, the special effects team. I'm like, that to me is as hard making that look good as making a Oscar winning Best Picture. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, there's something to it. That's why I like action movies, because also they're fun, and like that's the thing. Like, when I go to a movie, like, I wanted to see I, Tonya for the longest time, or I wanted to see, or Moonlight. I never saw Moonlight because I've heard it's like can be kind of sad. I'm like, if I don't want to be sad, I'll go see one of these movies.
Well, Moonlight is overrated, I thought. I thought
you
it was
did?
fine.
See, I didn't see it. Yeah.
I thought it was just fine. But, like, it's my least favorite gay movie. I love the gay movies.
You love gay
Brokeback
movies.
Mountain, I love. Call Me By Your Name, I love. Philadelphia, I love. And I got a porn that I'm into
Reservoir
as well.
Dogs. I haven't seen any. Oh, sorry. Stepped on your joke. I haven't seen any of the gay movies.
Oh, well, Brokeback Mountain is like a masterpiece. It's like one of the best
Yeah,
movies of all
Brokeback
time.
Mountain's really good. It's a really good movie.
And Call Me By Your Name was great. But I like human, and I like dialogue. I like reality-based, dialogue-driven film.
And
Yeah.
comedies.
And comedies. But even comedies, most of them I don't think are great.
Well, a lot of comedies aren't great. That's why, but it's so subjective.
Yeah, but if I get a comedy, I want it to be almost plotless. That's why I like the Marx Brothers movies, where the plot is like secondary. Like
I
The
don't
Naked
disagree
Gun,
with that. Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber.
It's almost like, you ever watch Dirty Work?
I love Dirty Work.
Dirty Work's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
And the plot's almost secondary in that movie. It's just a bunch of random scenes strewn together.
Yeah, like Marx Brothers movies, they throw in Zeppo all of a sudden just to keep the plot moving occasionally. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, we better find the gold. Then he leaves and Harpo comes out and he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then everyone goes, it's like 20 minutes of jokes, and then they come back and like the woman's like, I'm still missing my necklace.
Yeah.
And then they come back in with more jokes.
Well, you know what movie did it well was Ace Ventura. Because their plot was like, really, you were into it, but he was also so fucking funny.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that was also... Ace Ventura was supposed to be like a straight-to-video movie. Like, it was made by this, like... They didn't know what was going to happen with it. It was made by this,
Really?
like, really no-frills production company and stuff like that. Like, so I think it was supposed to be, like, pretty much straight-to-video.
Great documentary about Tom Shadyac or Shadyac.
Shadyac.
Did you ever watch that? I Am?
No.
It was on Netflix. It's amazing. It's about happiness and all this stuff. It's amazing. Like, he got rich and bought this huge
Did he direct it or
house.
he
and-
wrote it?
He made the movie I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because he had like some crazy brain trauma and he thought he was going to die, and then he questioned all of life and materialism. It's a pretty amazing movie.
That's pretty awesome. So when it comes to the podcast, we don't usually do comedies because here's the thing. I've said this a million times. Comedies are so subjective. I don't fault anybody for thinking something's funny that somebody else doesn't think is funny.
Yeah.
So like, I love Clifford. Clifford with Martin Short is like one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like. They hate it.
Yeah,
They
I don't
think it's
even know that
creepy.
movie.
Oh, he plays a 10-year-old boy. It's so funny.
Okay.
It's amazing. Anyway, so that's why I usually do it. But today, you picked a good one, mostly because you, like you said, you don't watch a lot of guilty pleasures. You go for like, you go for those like high-end dramas sometimes, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
and then
great movies.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
great movie. I'm talking like, by the way, I'm talking about like
You're talking about good movies.
The Godfather
Yeah.
and French
Yeah.
Connection
No, you're right.
and Jaws. I'm
What
not talking about,
what I'm saying is I will sit there and watch a bad movie on purpose sometimes.
Right.
That's technically bad. Also, it's one of those things where if you can. There's a whole new phenomenon now, like especially since like you have like things like The Room, where it's like, can a movie become so bad that it's good?
Right.
It becomes full circle. So you could watch The Room and you're like, this was so remarkably bad, it actually is good. Like you couldn't have tried to make it this bad.
Right. I have not watched that. But there's movies, like I'll leave a movie. I get upset. Like I'm like, this is bothering me.
Have you walked out of movies?
All the time, yeah.
What have you walked out of? I'm curious. Because I'm always fascinated. I've only wanted to walk out of one, and I didn't walk out. It was 8mm.
What was the one? There was a bunch of stars in it. It was such a piece
Like
of garbage.
Valentine's Day or something?
No, it was about the art collecting. Monuments Men. That's like one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Like I was like, I
Monuments
can't
Men?
take
That's
this any
a
longer.
terrible name, too.
And
It's like hard to say.
But it's like John Goodman and Bill Murray and like Bob Balaban. And it's like all these like
Yeah,
stars.
big
And you're just
names.
like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
I hope neither one of you guys worked on that movie.
Monuments Men, that was a pretty big bomb too.
Yeah,
Isn't it
yeah.
the goat? Isn't there like a goat where he gets like hypnotized by a goat or something?
No,
Maybe.
that's,
Oh, no, that's
um,
Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yeah, that's a
Menace.
different
Yeah,
guts. But that movie I left. But like also like you talk about like I'll go see movies on the road a lot because to kill time. Like I
Yeah.
went and saw Iron Man, which is considered like the greatest comic book movie.
Yeah.
But I left that movie. I was like, I get what's going on here. I
Oh,
see
you're
what's going on.
crazy. It's a good movie.
I'll sit through it. I saw Sully, and that was
Sully is
trash.
horrific. Yeah.
So
that's
there's a
really
line in
bad.
Sully where it was like right after, and they're in the hotel room, and the guy comes out, and he's like, "You should be happy, something good in New York hasn't happened for a long time, especially with planes." And then he walks
yeah,
out,
yeah.
and I was with my buddy. We just looked. We're like, "Did he just do a 9/11 reference
yeah.
to this movie?"
I thought there's been a few, like a Bridge of Spies I hated too. I hate dialogue where there's like people repeat things like this. You saved me, Sean. You saved me. Like that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
with like emphasis
Yeah,
lines.
yeah. Or like people
Things like
delivering
lazy
lines.
writing.
Yeah, people
Poor
talking when
choice,
people have
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
Like everyone leaves the room and he's like, "That's one great guy." Jeez, I can't handle it. It makes me like physically upset.
I hate when they like when things are but they completely set up something where like the foreshadowing lines where they're
Yeah.
like, well, I guess we'll stay away from that barn. Like
Yeah,
when it's like,
yeah.
well, something's gonna happen at that barn.
Right,
Where
right.
That's so lazy. It's like,
Right,
come on,
right.
be more subtle than that.
Unless it's comedy in Seinfeld where they kept saying, barring some unforeseen incident. That was like a running gag to the show. They'd always go, well, barring some unforeseen incident, we're going to be working together a long time. And then you're like, yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
That's the other thing on the podcast. We make one Seinfeld reference per episode.
I can't
I
live
talk
my
in
life
it
so
every day. I talk
yeah.
in it. You ever talk in Seinfeld to somebody and they're like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
100% of the time, I do it too with like drama movies where like someone will be like, "Hey, I saw you yesterday." I'm like, people will say we're in love, and it's like a woman being like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, Silence of the Lambs." It's like I'm like referencing like horrific movies.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
don't worry, I'm not in love with you. I'm just quoting a cannibal.
yeah, no, that happens all the time. Where I'm like, "Yeah, because you're a fucking piece of shit whore." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Casino." And they're like, "Oh."
Now, what about that? Like, what about Godfather? You mentioned out in the other room, and
Yeah,
and you love
Godfather's the
Godfather.
best.
So mafia movies, you dig that? Is there like one topic of movie that you're like you said you don't like action, but is there something that you're like, oh, I'll check out any of this genre of movie? I guess it's dramas, maybe in your case.
But like, there's some mob movies that are bad also.
there's a ton. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. But like, yeah, maybe I'll try to.
God,
What are
was
some
the-
bad
the-
mob
bad
movies?
mafia movies?
Yeah.
Oh, there's one where the guy. Oh wait, Pool Hole Junkies was really bad. It was like this. It was like sometimes you have independent movies. The reason they're independent is because they're just made poorly. Like sometimes they're just made poorly, and I think it had like Ricky Schroeder in it. It was like Pool Hole Junkies, and you remember this? They had like something like that. And it was mafia was involved in it, but there's bad mafia movies.
Well, like-
a lot of people don't like Casino. I love Casino.
No, Casino's great.
Yeah.
It's great, and
but
that's
it
also
didn't do great when it came out. I think
seen it.
Siskel
It was called Goodfellas.
destroyed it. Well, it's not. It's different.
That's David Spade.
David Spade did that.
Oh,
I
right.
was gonna let that slide until after. But Casino also, it didn't do well because people were like, Scorsese's treading on familiar territory, and then years later they were like, this movie's actually better than we realized. Because you get
Yeah.
criticized for being like, well, this is familiar territory, and you're like, yeah, well, so is Revolver and Sgt. Pepper's familiar territory.
Right.
But they're
Yeah.
both fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, and also Casino. From what I understand, the main guy that De Niro's playing was nothing like De Niro. I think he was because they make references in it to him being flamboyant and being like.
Oh, interesting.
And I think he was like. I think he was very flamboyant. I think in real life.
Right.
I think that's what I understand from when it came out.
Well, Colin Quinn, his issue was he thought De Niro was actually miscast. He should have thought it should have been like Totoro or somebody. He said it looked weird to have like De Niro with like big glasses
Yes.
and like a cigarette.
Yeah.
holder.
I think you're right. I think
Like,
you're absolutely right.
He's like someone else would have done a better job, but I think the movie's awesome.
That was me. Well, one of the biggest beefs I ever had on the show, and I'm actually curious what you think of this movie. And then we'll get into the one you came to talk about. American Hustle. I have a huge. You want to talk about miscasting?
I mean, I hate
have
that
a
movie.
I hate
thought
it.
that movie was
I hate
terrible.
It. I hate it. But I had. You want to talk like miscasting? That they are par for the course with that movie because it's insane how much better they could have done the job. Like
Yeah.
Because what I heard is this. I heard that the main character, Christian Bale, at first he was going to do the movie, and then he had to leave it, and he offered Jeremy Renner the Christian Bale part, and then Jeremy Renner. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jeremy Renner was like, all right, I'll do that. And then what happened was Christian Bale was able to do it again. So he's like, all right, so you just play the mayor in the thing.
Right.
And that mayor role in that movie should have been played by like a 50-year-old Italian guy. It should have
Right.
been a character actor doing it.
Right.
It's a movie that would have been great with character actors, but was shitty with famous people.
Yeah, it wasn't. I remember not liking it. There's a few movies that get. I mean, obviously, Three Billboards. I've talked about it everywhere. I can,
We did a whole episode on it.
Yeah. I mean, everywhere I dropped flyers out of.
I like
planes
went to go
talk about
see
how
it,
bad
and
is.
then we did the episode like right after.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where we're like, did we like it? And by the end of the episode, we're like, no.
No. I think it's one of the worst movies ever perpetrated on the American people.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad.
And movies are a victim of their times. Like there's a whole backlash now about American Beauty. I bring up sometimes where it's like I like American Beauty, but they're like, oh, it stinks. People think it stinks now.
I always thought I thought it was overrated. Then I liked the movie, but I thought it was like over. It was like this is the best. I thought it was like it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, so you came. We don't usually do comedies. I'm actually glad to do the one we're doing today. It kind of fits into what we're talking about a
A
little
little
bit.
dramatic, also.
Well, you know why? Because when it came out, there was kind of a controversy attached to it. You're defending the very good, very funny movie, Cable Guy.
The Cable Guy.
The Cable Guy.
Love it.
Which came out right after. I think it was right after Ace Ventura, right?
Yeah.
It's 95. No, I think it was after Dumb and Dumber. I think it was
Dumb and Dumber.
95. I think he was on a roll. He had the Ace Ventura was huge, and then The Mask, and I think Ace Ventura 2 and Dumb and Dumber.
You're at peak Jim Carrey fame, pretty
Yeah.
much. After Dumb and Dumber is like peak Jim Carrey fame.
Yeah, after Jim, then Liar Liar I think came after him, and that was like a hit again. And then
That's so weird that people didn't like Cable Guy because it feels like okay, you've just done 4 movies with the same Jim Carrey killing it. I'd like to see him do something different.
Yeah.
a little bit.
Well, that's what you think because you're a sensible person that wants to
thank
see. You want to see good stuff and
Yes.
different stuff done. But most people, I think, want to see when you're pigeonholed like that and you're Jim Carrey and you're playing the same thing over and over again. Almost like we just said with De Niro. Like people want to see De Niro play a mafia guy.
Yeah.
They want to see Jim Carrey play a dumb, not a dumb guy, but
Like
a
a
goofy
wacky
character. Yeah.
face guy. Yeah.
So when he didn't do that, he did a movie directed by who directed Cable Guy? It was,
Ben Stiller.
It was Ben Stiller, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it was and it was like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
That's like the most
Judd
dark comedy
Apatow
you could have gotten
helped
for
write
Jim
that.
Carrey to do at that time in his career. Like it's pretty unheard of for somebody to do something like that to switch it up that much at that point.
Judd Apatow left the Larry Sanders Show to go make the movie.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
met
did
his
he?
wife Leslie Mann on
set.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I didn't know that.
Whoa.
I know it because I was talking to Judd last night, and he told me both of those things. So I hope he's okay with me putting this out on a podcast.
I'm sure
He
he
put
is.
it in his
Yeah.
book.
Yeah,
I
all right,
think.
great.
So
And did Judd? He wrote on the script.
I believe so. That's what Brendan
Yeah.
said. But he also did a David Spade joke earlier and gave it
well,
about 8
now
seconds
now I'm
before he-
feeling unconfident.
No, I think he probably wrote it. Don't you have a producer to look this up? Shouldn't Alex be doing
Yeah,
this?
he should be, but that's right.
Jesus
I know. I'm
Christ,
kidding. Usually
Alex.
Farrah looks up on her phone, to be honest.
No, I think he co-wrote it, but Stiller wrote it. But Judd might have
Yeah.
also wrote. I don't know.
Well, we were talking about before, like so many funny lines in that, like when the back plot with like the Mendez brothers, and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it was a Chinese guy.
No,
or
it's Asian. I'm pretty sure he was Asian. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was speaking another language. I think it was Asian.
He just kept saying that.
That's
Oh,
great.
time out.
Lou Holtz Jr. wrote it, so neither.
Lou Holtz Jr., the coach's kid? Seriously, is that Lou Holtz, the football coach's kid?
Probably.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Wait, what did Judd Apatow have to do with it?
He's a producer.
Oh, he's a producer on. Okay.
So nothing.
Hey,
I don't know
Hey,
what-
we'll
I
be
don't know
right
how it
back.
what you call it? I like Cable Guy a lot. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, but it was kind of panned, and people didn't like it because it was very dark. And then also, in this country particularly, people are waiting to just trash you once you've been brought up. I mean, that's what we do. We build up and then cut down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what happened with it. Like, they were like, it's also so silly. They were like, should Jim Carrey have done the movie? It's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't he have done it? There was, he's taking a risk. But people
It
were
might have not
into
even
it.
been that good of a movie without him.
I heard it was supposed to be Chris Farley originally. That's what I heard, but that
That'd
might
have
be
been
a
great.
wives' tale, which would have been a totally different movie because he had like no darkness other than
Yeah.
like, obviously
His actual
demons.
life, yeah.
Yeah. Chris Farley had nothing dark about him. What's he do now? He died of an overdose. But like he never
What's he
played
do
any.
now? It's so funny that there's somebody out there that's like, what's Chris Farley doing these days? What's he up to, that Chris Farley?
But yeah, and then like it would have been much sillier.
Yeah.
But there was silly stuff in there. But it was actually really dark. I mean, it's a movie about a stalker,
Right, exactly. That's why, because you think about it, it's not
a serial stalker, by the way.
It's not like I've seen darker movies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I've seen,
yeah.
I just saw this movie. Oh, that movie Thoroughbreds. Did you see that movie?
Oh, I love Thoroughbreds.
It was great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
basically a comedy.
Yeah, it's like a dark humor.
It's
Yeah.
a super dry, dark comedy, and it has to involves these girls murdering the one girl's stepdad.
Yeah.
and they're just like really deadpan, and they like it's very morbid.
Yeah, there's a
and
lot
it's
of jokes
way
in it.
darker than Cable Guy is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because having Jim Carrey, like, if you had anybody else in it, I guess Chris Farley and Jim Carrey would have been the two people that you had in it that really like lighten it up.
Yeah.
the most you could lighten it up. Like, think about who. I don't know who else you put in there.
They both have both those movies have Hitchcockian themes and homages.
Thoroughbreds 100% does.
Yeah, well-
it's crazy. They have the same shot as Frenzy. Well, it's not the same shot, but they use the same technique as Frenzy when. I think it's Frenzy when they're coming out of the guy's murdering the woman in the
Right,
apartment,
right.
and they back out, and then you get the sound from the street.
Right.
And it was like some revolutionary scene from back
Yeah.
in the day. They do that in Thoroughbreds.
Well,
You know who
and
I-
Cable Guy. Sorry, real quick. The Cable Guy. They have the spider run across his face, which they do with Norman Bates at the end. There's a little homage
Whoa.
there. Yeah.
You know who I feel like could have played that role of who they are now, but they were actually in the movie? Jack Black. I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like him now could have done that,
Yeah, yeah.
that role.
Oh, easily. He
Yeah.
he could have been. He's good at being creepy. You ever see Bob Roberts?
No.
Bob Roberts.
Yeah, it's with Tim. What's his name? Timothy
McVeigh.
No, Timothy
Tim Hardy.
McVeigh. Married to Susan Sarandon, or was like dating Susan Sarandon.
Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins.
Oh, yeah.
And he plays like this neoconservative, he's like a guy who's like a candidate for, I think it's like senator or something. But it's actually, it rings true for right now. It's like this really creepy, he's like this fascist guy, but he's trying to relate to the youth. And Jack Black plays his creepy #1 fan. That when Tim Robbins, they set up like an assassination attempt on him, like to make him more sympathetic.
Yeah.
And Jack Black is like out. Outside his hotel, his hospital, just waiting for him to come to the window. And when they find out that he wins the race when they're out there, and it's just a shot of Jack Black just looking at the window like, ah! just yelling. It's
Whoa,
wow.
creepy. It's a creepy thing, but it's like it's supposed to be a whole symbolic of
Yeah.
fascism. Who knows? But Jack Black is really creepy in it, and he would be. You're
Yeah.
right. He could do Cable Guy,
And he
play
would
that
have done
role.
it in his own way, which would have been like...
Yes, and it would have been funny. That's what you have. You have guys. It's like that's what you need, I guess. You need a guy that's really silly, but then who has a dark side. 'Cause
Yeah.
even if you watch, I like Jim Carrey a lot. I like Truman Show. Like Truman Show, there's a dark side to that.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
thing I think he did acting wise was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite all time movies, and
Yeah,
I think that actually showed him the most understated he's ever been, and also like, oh, he actually has some chops, like acting wise.
No, he's amazing. He's also amazing in that one scene in Dumber and Dumber where he's like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of trying to eke my way through life. It's like kind of like in the middle of it, you're like, damn, that was like tremendous.
It's really heavy for Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, you're like, wow, that was great. No, he's great in that. He's great in Man on the Moon, obviously, and he's a talented
Did you see
fella.
23? Remember that?
No,
23.
Number 20. Was it
Number
called Number
23?
23?
Yeah,
or something
the
like
number
that? Yeah, I
23.
think I.
Oh no, where he plays like the photographer or the model.
Like,
the model.
something is like a conspiracy in his life, or
That's
something
that
like
bombed,
that.
right?
Yeah, that was not good.
Sometimes things bomb when they're not supposed to, but that seemed like it was supposed to.
I think
Yeah.
everybody thought it was going to be good because it was like Jim Carrey doing another serious role, blah blah blah.
Right.
Well, the other thing that I get annoyed about nowadays with Jim Carrey, the thing I get a little annoyed about is that now he's like, he talks about like the trials and tribulations of being like this superstar that was making. And I'm like, well, you're doing that now because you have $400 million. Like, it's insane to be like, he's like, oh, I was tortured every day. Every day I had to do those movies because, like
Right.
the documentary where he like bears his soul. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but you had no problem with it when you did it. And your whole story up until that point was like, I wrote myself a $10 million check because I was like, I'm going to get famous one day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now it's like, I don't know. I just find that a little bit bullshitty. But whatever. It's the whole thing's bullshit.
Yeah.
John left just now.
Sean went to write a check for $10,000.
I did, yes. So I don't know, man. What I'm saying is, it's a really good movie. That's why you don't have to defend it too much because we all like it here.
Right.
But I'm just saying, would you say it's your favorite Jim Carrey movie?
Oh boy, I don't
that's
know.
a toughie.
I mean, I love it. I mean, like Dumb and Dumber is like the funnier movie and great. But the Cable Guy, I do think, and I was talking to Judd about this the other day. He's like, oh, like he kind of like undersold it. He's like, yeah, it's got some funny things. And I was like, no, I think it's like amazing. Like I think Jim Carrey could have been nominated for Academy Award. Him and the script, Lou Holtz Jr., this the son of a football coach. Like I thought it was like a brilliant script. And Owen Wilson is also in that movie. He plays
right.
that creep on the first date.
That's right.
Have the eggs had a chance to hatch yet?
It's so funny. If you really think about it, Owen Wilson should have played the normal friend, but Jack Black does.
Yeah.
But he's so great as like an asshole guy in that movie.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the first time I saw either one of those guys. And Broderick is great. Leslie Mann is great. It gets so creepy. It's
First
so
time you
fun.
saw Owen Wilson?
I believe so.
So you weren't a Bottle Rocket fan before you saw this,
I think
huh?
Bottle Rocket came after Cable Guy.
No, Cable Guy was what, 90? Oh, you're
95,
right.
right around the same
and
time.
Ben Stiller played the murderers, right?
Yeah,
he played both of them.
But I didn't see Bottle Rocket till after I saw Rushmore. I saw Rushmore, and then I saw Red Hot Tenenbaums, and then they were like, he made another one, and I had to go back.
Bottle Rocket's great.
It is great.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That's
You know
my
what's a
top
funny
10.
scene in Cable Guy when he's like knocking on the door and he's like, all right, I'm leaving. And he just
Oh,
starts
it's
going
amazing. It's amazing. I mean, that movie like blew the doors off my life. Every comic I've ever met loves it, and every non-comic I know hates it. That's what I think is interesting about that movie.
That's
Well,
crazy.
that's where the dark factor comes into.
Yeah.
Because when you start doing comedy, your sense of humor changes.
Yeah.
Think
But
about the
it does-
comedy.
Oh, sorry.
No, think about what you laughed at before you started doing comedy. It was way different than, or a lot of it was different than.
I mean, I was 17.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you've been doing it. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't start comedy till I was 28, and I would go to comedy shows, and I think I probably laughed at stuff that was way easier to laugh at before I started it. And the more you're around comedy, and you're like just every day, all day, your things change. You find darker shit funny.
Yeah.
Not that you become like depressing, but you find darker comedy funny.
Oh no! I need somebody to fall down a flight of stairs to laugh nowadays.
yeah.
Literally, like Jim Carrey could be sitting here doing his 10 best minutes and be like, "All right, just quiet down." Yeah, that's the saddest part about comedy is it makes you into like this cynic that doesn't laugh. That was a great
Absolutely.
Conan O'Brien. Did you ever see that Conan O'Brien? He was talking about how brutal it is, and he's just like, "I don't even laugh anymore. I just go, that's funny." Really funny.
Yeah.
That might be the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
There's people who come to comedy shows on the road, and I've heard people in the crowd, and they're just like, "That's funny," and I'm like, "Why are you telling me from a comedy?"
Yeah, I feel like the way with not to get too off topic, like podcast fans, because they listen to you so much, they're just sitting there, they're not even smiling. They're wearing like a Joe List t-shirt and just looking at me like, and then afterwards like, that was good. I'm like, what?
They're basically like they're in their cars just listening to the podcast.
Yeah, they watch it like a comic watches comedy, where you're like, I would
Like,
say
that was good,
that
but
wasn't
if
bad.
you could just talk about your day
Yeah.
on stage a little bit more.
Yeah. Do you ever see
weird.
somebody, maybe this is just me, 'cause maybe I have easy punchlines, but you ever see somebody who is realizing your punchline right before you say it? They're like, that last night I had had that at the cellar. I had this woman. She goes, I was saying a joke, and she was like, and she like was doing this motion, keep going
geez.
motion with her
that
fingers,
sucks.
I know exactly what you're about to say, and she's
she
nodding
figured out
the whole
your
time.
rhythm.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I was
that
like,
stink.
fuck you, lady.
Yeah, that's
Don't sit in
terrible.
the front.
That
You're
is
gonna figure
terrible.
out my old shit.
Wow.
But but yeah, you're right. It does. You do change, but I think that's why this wasn't received so well, because I think most people don't have the sense, like most people don't have dark senses of humor. Most people do like seeing people fall downstairs all the time. You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
even think that movie was that dark. I don't watch it and go,
It
"Ooh,
would
this
have
is
been
creepy."
You don't, because Jim Carrey was in it. It would have been way darker if he wasn't in it. If it was
It's
somebody else, it
pretty
would have been
dark.
great.
Like, he turns out to be this creep.
Like
I mean, he's
psycho.
literally stalking him. He's like tapped into his phone.
Gets
He's
him a
watching his
hooker.
girlfriend get dressed. He buys him a hooker, and then
Yeah, I
like,
guess that is pretty
He
creepy.
also like penetrates his family while he's in jail.
Oh, that was great.
I mean, that whole scene is
that's
amazing.
right.
Like, it's super, super dark. That whole scene, that's like one of the funniest scenes in any movie ever.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It's amazing.
What's his name? It's not. What's his name? Chip
Douglas.
Chip Douglas, because it's
Yeah.
from like the
Yeah.
All in the not All in the Family, one of those old TV shows.
Best scene in that entire
My Three
movie
Sons.
is the medieval times scene.
That
where
whole
they're
scene,
just
Janine
fighting and he's
Garofalo
doing
in
the
there.
as the what was her line? She like puts the
said-
plate
yeah.
down or something, like to sip it, or I forgot
He
the
goes,
line.
she goes, we have, there were no utensils at many times, therefore we have no utensils at many
But there
times.
was
He goes-
Diet Coke.
He goes, there was no utensils, but there was Pepsi. And she goes, dude, I got a lot of tables. That's great.
That's great, yeah. But he's doing like the Star Trek theme where he's like, dun, dun, dun,
Yeah, oh,
dun,
that's another
dun,
creepy
dun,
thing.
dun.
Like, that's like another creepy thing is that he gets him like involved in this thing. He goes, I hooked up
Yeah.
Nights up with. Is this part of the normal show? No, but I gave the Knights free cable. It's really cool. We just went at it for a while.
Yeah.
And then they're fighting him. He's like kicking him. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
That's so funny.
Brett, is this your favorite Jim Carrey movie? You think, or are you? Into,
No. Well, it's definitely up there, but I don't think it's my favorite.
That's why I like. It's not my favorite Jim Carrey movie. I think Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber holds up. This holds up too, but Dumb and Dumber holds up so well. It's insane.
I
watched it
definitely
today.
quote Dumb and Dumber.
I've seen it
more than
100
Yeah.
times, and I was laughing out loud
Yeah.
as I'm watching Dumb and Dumber.
No, it's crazy funny. I mean, I feel bad. I feel like I'm ruining your podcast because nobody's arguing that cable guy. Does
It
anybody
happens.
hate the cable guy?
No, I ruined it. I agreed to do it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I know. Sorry.
This happens sometimes.
Okay,
you know what it
great.
is? It's because the movies you watch, you don't these shitty movies that I can be like, this is a horrible movie and this is why.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
trying.
actually a good movie.
There's probably some Woody Allen movies that I love. Before he was whatever. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably some movies.
Before he was a saxophone player? Or
yeah,
before he was a
yeah.
clarinet player?
Yeah, before he played clarinet. Yeah, there's probably. I just
No, it's
hard.
Here's the thing. You did a good job. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's hard to find people. I think it's easy for people to find a movie they want to defend, but sometimes it's really hard to do.
Right.
And when I liked a movie, it doesn't. I'm agreeing with you for the most part.
God, I'm sure I could find a movie that is poorly reviewed.
that you like.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Has Jim Carrey ever done like a voiceover for a cartoon or anything?
I don't
Has
know.
Jim Carrey done that? I don't even
Yeah,
know.
I don't think he has.
He did stand up, and then he was on Living Color. And then also, I want to talk about holding up. Have you seen? They were showing reruns of Living Color.
Yeah.
They would never. That show would never be made now. There's no way.
No.
Men on Film. They have the sketch Men on Film.
Oh yeah, that was just.
Oh my
blatant
God. There would
homophobia,
be protests. It'd be
was that?
insane.
What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You don't know. You're 26.
Wait,
It
you
was
never watched
a-
Living Color?
What?
I've seen it, but I've never. I don't.
It was
watch
Damon
it that
Wayans and
much.
David Allen Greer playing like super flamboyant gay guys reviewing like Men on Books, Men on Film, and with tons of innuendo. But it was like the grossest innuendo you could think of, but it was super homophobic and super, like if it was made now, it wouldn't be made now. Like they would just not allow that.
If it was made now, it wouldn't be made
Yeah,
now.
it would
Yeah.
just be protested. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty nuts. And then
Yeah, it's amazing that people haven't like gone back to that and like retroactively been like Damon Wayans should be shot and killed or whatever.
they
Well,
don't.
I mean, those guys aren't really that big anymore, so I think people don't give a shit about.
I think it's out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, I think
Tearing
it's
them
off
down.
the air, and it's but it was being played on some random like one of those like Ion or something like one of
Right,
those like
right.
random channels. So I think people just don't care enough about it, and also those things always go like they go viral. It's always like one article that gets like just blows up out of nowhere.
Right.
So there probably is an article somewhere, it just hasn't caught on fire.
Well, Seinfeld too. We talked about like Seinfeld. There's so many episodes that would just be like
Yeah.
the cleavage. I mean, they would be shut down. The show
Yeah.
would be over. I mean, they're
yeah.
looking at a 15-year-old's cleavage in the show. That's the plot of the show.
Well, they had
That'd
to
be
pull
out.
one. They had a Puerto Rican Day Parade one. They pulled it.
Oh, that got in trouble. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they jump on the Puerto Rican Day play.
They stamped
they
out the
burned
flag on
yeah,
fire.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there was also an oral rape joke in Seinfeld.
Is there?
Yes, the one where he's going to the dentist with, Doctor.
Yeah, but it's him. It's male on male oral rape.
Yes, but
that
he
makes it
goes,
okay.
I think I was untucked. And he goes, you think you were violated? I don't know. But I was spitting and rinsing like there was no tomorrow. It's like they just did a joke about Jerry being fucking orally raped at 9 o'clock on NBC.
That would still make it. It would make it.
No way.
Yes, it would.
I don't
If it
know
was a
about
woman
that.
in the chair.
On
no.
NBC?
There's
on
a lot
FX,
of
maybe.
A lot of sitcoms rely on like sex innuendo and punchlines and stuff like that, like sex punchlines, like 12-year-olds being like talking about blowjobs and shit.
Right. I mean, it would still air, but like it would be a huge controversy.
Oh yeah, it would definitely be a controversy. Well, they were always known for that. They got knocked for what? Like had no black people on the show. They had no.
Yeah.
Isn't that why he did the whole season with the blacks, like the family of the blacks on Curb Your
On Curb,
Enthusiasm?
yeah.
I think that's why he did that. And then, but then they made fun of themselves though, because then they had.
The Exterminator?
Yes. Yeah. Where he was like, he's like, who the hell was the name of that exterminator you had? And he had him show up at dinner.
He goes, yeah, I don't really have any black friends. He's like, aside from me, you don't have any white friends either. I'm the Exterminator.
You know what they had?
Linebacker.
You know, they had the other day they had when he talks about wanting to be a buff. He goes, "How do you become a buff?" And he goes, "So Biff wants to be a buff."
That's great. I think you have to start by
That's one of
sleeping
Alice's
less.
favorite lines.
You have to start by sleeping less than 12 hours a day. I'd like to be a buff. I'd become a buff.
How do you become a buff? So Biff wants to be a buff.
Oh, it's magical.
That's what
a
happens
magical
when
show.
everybody agrees on the movie. We just talk about Seinfeld. That should be the default.
Well, what about this movie? Dead Poets Society? I'm not saying it's great. Remember that movie? Talk about Me Too and all that. This is like one of the most insane and egregious scenes in any movie ever, where the kid's crush, he's doing the Carpe Diem, seize the day, and his crush, who has a boyfriend, is passed out on the couch, and he literally goes over, he's like, Carpe Diem, and he kisses her on the mouth.
Wow.
And then later, like, he gets her. Like, he's a hero.
Well, that's
where I'm like,
just-
that's his seize the day, is kissing a sleeping woman who he's not dating?
Well, that's the sign of the times. That was also like I was watching Diner. You ever see Diner?
course.
Diner's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
unbelievable movie.
Yeah.
But some of the shit in Diner is really crazy.
Yeah.
He puts his dick in the popcorn
Right,
jar,
right,
you know,
right.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then he also talks about like they treat the women in that movie like they're so secondary. It's insane.
Right.
Like, and like he talks about the wives like, what are we going to talk about? We're married. Like, what are we, like he's literally like, get in the car.
But
He's
that
like-
was the 50s, I think.
that was the 50s, right?
Right.
And then, but so was Dead Poets Society. That was the 50s.
I know, but I feel like Diner, they're sort of like representing, like, hey, boys, we're the boys, and there's women's, and that's the sign of the time.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
felt like
They're
the
supposed to be
writer was like,
sensitive.
yeah, we gotta like, yeah. It felt like he was like, this is what you do if you want to seize the day. And it was very bizarre.
Well, the weird thing is, Saturday Night Fever has a whole rape in the plot of the movie. The girl gets raped. Remember that?
Right, right.
I think it's just that was okay back then or
Yeah,
something. I don't know.
to portray it. I mean, Pulp Fiction also has a rape.
Well, Pulp
Yeah.
Part of the
Fiction.
plot also.
Did you remember? All right, did you see that when it came out, or were you when you're older? Because you're.
I saw it when it came up, but I didn't understand any of it. I was 13 years old, so I didn't know what the hell was going on.
I was like 16, and even I didn't know about that stuff. And I remember reading an article before I went to go see it, and kind of understanding what it was. And I was like, I was going with my dad to go see it, and I was like, I don't want to see this scene. Because there was like an article in the paper about that scene. I'm like, I don't want to see this scene sitting next to my dad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It was very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird scene. But it's a weird world.
It's a weird world.
Yeah.
So basically, at the end of the day, we all agree that
Cable Guys.
it's
Yeah.
a really good movie.
Yeah, the 2 minutes we talked about it.
But I'll say this, man. It's probably. I don't know. I don't think it's definitely not in my like as far as Jim Carrey movies goes. It's not.
It's in my top 3. Definitely.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What is that? What, Alex, what does the cable guy have on Rotten Tomatoes? Just out of 69. All right.
Nice.
So that's not exactly,
Nice.
you know. But though people,
Carpe diem. Right?
can we talk about this too, since it's a movie podcast? Because Rotten Tomatoes is so misconstrued.
Oh, we talk about it all the
Yeah.
time.
We talk about it all the time.
Yeah, and we talk about Google. Google users, every Google user loves everything. I think what they have is this: when people are looking up a movie they like, Google is like, "Hey, like it on Google user thing,"
Right.
And then they like it on Google user, and then it has like a 140% rating. It's like insane. But we talked about that. Rotten Tomatoes is totally mismatched.
Yeah, because people think that Rotten Tomatoes, they gave it 69. It
No,
just means
no.
that 69% of the reviews are positive.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. Because if you have a movie that's not as well known,
Yeah.
and say you have a movie that's not as well known, and if you have some of those reviews are good, you have a better percentage of good reviews than a movie that has 400 reviews, but if they have a bunch of bad reviews, they have a lower percentage than
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, people
but it
will-
could be a better movie, but it was at a wider release.
Yeah, I'll hear people be like, "Oh, Rotten Tomatoes gave it 48%." You're like, "No, they didn't say this is
Yeah.
a 48."
No.
They do that
no.
in the trailer now.
Right,
when
right.
you see a movie, they're like,
Yeah.
68% on Rotten
Right.
Tomatoes.
No, they're literally taking all of the reviews and deciding it's yay or nay. And it's also them deciding if it's yay or nay. To be honest, if you read some of those reviews, some of them are borderline good or bad reviews.
Yeah, yes.
So it's kind of a flawed system. That's
Yeah.
why I don't trust. And some of the, like, what do they have? Like, well, there's a new horror movie that came out, like The Quiet Place. That's 100%. There's a lot of ones that are coming out now. They're getting 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, how is that possible?
It was
There's no way.
reviewed by 4,
Right,
Yeah.
4 people. Right, exactly. So it shouldn't be a credit to put on the trailer for the movie. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
No.
Well, thank you for doing this, dude.
Thanks for having me. I hope I didn't ruin
No, I
it
thought
too
it was a
much.
fun conversation, didn't you?
I loved it, but I just feel bad that I wasn't.
You know,
No
it's
one
a
was
great
like,
scene.
"Cable
That's
Guy
on
stinks,
me.
You
you
know,
piece
it's a
of
great
shit."
scene in The Cable Guy when he goes to that party and he's like, "These are all my friends," and they're like old people and
Oh,
people
yeah.
with like eye patches.
Charles Napier is in that scene. I love that guy.
Who's Charles Napier? From where? From
He's the judge in Philadelphia. He's the cop who gets his face ripped off in Silence of the Lambs. He's the trooper in the Blues Brothers. I've never even heard these boys sing.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah,
John
yeah.
Candy says that line. But Napier's he points at the guys. He's in a bunch of stuff.
No, here's the thing. I just wanted you to do it. We found what we could talk about, and it worked out for me.
All right, great. I love doing it. I love talking with you guys.
Please come back, figure out another movie, and then come back.
All right, I will.
All right, sounds good. Brendan, what do you want to plug, buddy?
Just Brendan Sagalow on Instagram and Twitter and my website, BrendanSagalow.com. And I'm headlining Caroline's May 8th at 7:30. If you go to the website, carolines.com, and put in the code SAGS, it's $10 tickets. It's great. So please do that.
And Joseph?
Sounds like the tag for my aunt's tits.
Oh, boy.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
You can see the season 2 of the stand-ups right now on Netflix. Season
And
2.
you
You guys didn't react, so I feel weird. And
I thought you were going to say
also,
something else. That's what.
oh, and at Joe List Comedy on Twitter and Instagram and
And the podcast, Tuesday.
and the podcast Tuesdays with Stories every Tuesday. It's free. Alex is an avid listener.
Yes. Our producer, he listens to that. He doesn't listen to this podcast. He listens to your podcast.
I keep forgetting to every time I hear someone else plug a podcast, I remember I have a podcast.
Well, it's
So-
too late.
That's what
I
happened
just
last
did that to
time.
him last time.
The stupid little podcast, by the way.
My favorite thing about this show is that Alex contributes, but without a microphone, so you just hear a person yelling
No, he
through
has
glass.
one
Yeah.
over there. Watch. Show the
I know, but he
microphone.
keeps yelling things without.
I know.
touching
It
the
sounds
microphone.
like Jim Carrey in the hallway.
I'm no showbo. but-
All right,
yeah.
you just hear like. "Boo."
Yeah.
Speaking of Alex, we do this at Showbiz Studios, showbizstudios.com. They have an iTunes page, also a YouTube page. Check out all the great podcasts on it. You have, what is it, In the Closet with Emma and Mateo, and you have Out of the Closet? What's it called? Out of the Closet, yeah.
I believe they're both
Makes
out
more
of the
sense.
closet.
I
I don't think
what the podcast
Mateo was
is
ever in a
called.
closet. Mateo was born with a mustache.
And you have Fat Pig with Frank Liotti and Jessica Curzon. You have a whole bunch of great podcasts.
Wow.
Check that out. Also, my Instagram and Twitter is at ShawneeTime. We have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/defendyourmovie. Please check it out. Tell your friends about the show, and we'll see you next week. I love you. Goodbye. Thank you so much.